We'd like to welcome you to the 2018-2019 Club 1 volleyball season, and my name is Bree Isaacson, and I'm the club director.
And my name is Bridget Hack, and I am the business manager.
And several years ago, basically what Bridget and I decided was it's really difficult for our families to get to a meeting. We have a fast turnaround after tryouts. People have places to go with their other kids. Sometimes there was a lot of people and it was hard to hear. So essentially what we decided to do is each year we do an online video that covers really all the important things of the club season and hopefully answers many of the questions that you might have. And we go over it. I talk about details. Bridget kind of talks payments and fundraising and uniforms. And then we're always available to our families should they have additional questions that they need answered. We can talk over the phone or email. And then we also have like a paperwork drop-off. And at that time, you could also, ask any questions that you might have. So what I'm going to do is cover all the important things. Bridget will, and then we'll kind of tell you how this process works. So first, for our families, once you are a member of our club program, we require an AAU and a USAV membership. And so for many of our families that played for us a year ago, or if you played for someone else, your memberships are still good right now and expire towards the end of October. What we require is that all memberships are renewed prior to us starting the club season. Now for our girls, it really works out fine because we don't start until November. Sometimes it gets a little tricky with our boys. But the reason we do that is we cannot roster our teams or register for tournaments until all of our athletes' memberships are current. So for us to begin the process of getting the tournament schedules out and the information required to be accepted into the events, we need all memberships current. So we ask that prior to the first practice, all memberships are renewed and all paperwork and your registration in Sport Engine is complete. Bridget will be reaching out prior to the start of the practices, letting you know if you're missing something. And then the week before practices start, if you were still missing something, you're going to get another email. It's not going to be something you're surprised about, but just so our families know, if you show up on the first day for practice and you are missing something, your child will not be able to participate until that's turned in. So Bridget will be in great communication with all of our families. She would let them know, but just a heads up for you guys, we need all memberships, paperwork, and registrations complete prior to the start of the first practice. Practices for our youth will begin November 14th. That is a Wednesday. Practices for our 14U program are Monday, Wednesday, and Sundays. On weekends you don't play. But just note that first week it actually begins November 14th, which is a Wednesday. If your daughter's team plays beginning in January on either Saturday or Sunday, there is no additional weekend practice. So practices are always Monday, they're always Wednesday, and if you are off that weekend from tournament play, you have a Sunday practice. If you play on either day, then you do not have that Sunday practice. Our 13s U program also practices Monday and Wednesday, and our 12s practice Tuesday and Thursday. And right now, if you're watching this video, we just got through the tryout process. At this time, we have not secured actual time slots for those age divisions. However, once we get all of our families in the system, we know our exact numbers, we will be sending out times immediately so you guys can plan for your families. Couple things that I have. Practices, we ask that our athletes arrive 15 minutes early before practice begins. That allows us enough time to get them ready to go so we can start our practices on time. If you're going to be late or absent to a practice, we ask that you communicate or your child communicates directly with their coach. For the time being, when you don't have a coach yet, you can communicate with Bridget or myself, and we'll be certain to pass that information along to the lead coach. And actually, I am the lead coach for the 12s, 13s, and 14s, so that information would come directly to me. So feel free to email me that over, and then once team selections are made, we can kind of hand that off to the direct coach. If your daughter has to miss a practice, they are allowed to make up practices, but they need to make up a practice of an age division older than them. Or if for some reason there was a day that a 14s had a practice that your child did not have a practice on that day, they couldn't make that up. We just ask that they don't go backwards. So we ask that a 14 doesn't go to a 13s practice just because we don't think that that's beneficial in their overall development. So you can make up those practices if need be. Practice attire is a Club One t-shirt, spandex, knee pads, socks, shoes, shirts tucked in, hair pulled back, ready to go. If you are new to Club One and you don't have any practice t-shirts yet, any athletic t-shirt will do. For our returning families, we do ask that you wear your Club One practice t-shirts. And then once all the practice t-shirts for this year are made, then we would expect all athletes in the program to be wearing that practice t-shirt for all practices. We are pretty tight in our gym space. We do have 2 locations for practice. We have our Club One location, which is on 143rd and Plainfield. And then we also use Community Christian Church Plainfield, which is less than a mile from our Club One facility. We will also communicate exactly where our youth athletes will be. At this time, we anticipate them to be at our Club One location on 143rd. But we got to kind of get through this weekend, ensure that's best for the amount of space we have in the teams, and then we will confirm, the times along with the location. We do ask that just because we're tight on space at the club, we do ask that if families need to come in and drop their kids off and you're not planning on leaving, we have lobby space, anywhere you can sit. We just simply don't have a lot of space for our families to sit in during the practices. The church location is a little bit different. We have more space, and that's no problem for us. So, we do open up our practice gym doors on the first Monday or the first practice of every month at Club One if you want to come and check it out. If there's something going on and you want to sit and practice, certainly we're never discouraging parents from doing that. It's just simply a space issue for us. At the church, it's a different conversation. So we do ask that you kind of drop your kids off and then use that lobby space if needed. And the other thing is that we're kind of excited about is, this year I'm going to be running all of the youth practices, and we're going to use a master coach philosophy. So what that means is that every athlete in our gym on every team is going to get the same training. And we've always done that. But we've kind of had different lead coaches for each age division. And this year I'm excited to work with all of our youth teams for all of the practices for this season. We take great pride in the fact at Club One that we allow our athletes to be multiple sport athletes. We feel like at these ages, it's too young sometimes for kids to decide. Without getting into too much detail, my son is a college volleyball player. However, at this age, had we told him he had to decide, he would have been a baseball player. And his interest and passion changed the older that he got. So we are excited that our athletes, we think we have a great life balance at Club One. But we do ask that if your child is playing a sport for their school, that you provide just a game and practice schedule, because it just helps us prepare. It helps us know when everyone's going to be there. And sometimes we're working on certain things, that may really be beneficial to your daughter. And if a bunch of kids in the same position are missing that day, that may not be the best day to put it on the schedule. So all that we ask is that we have good communication, but that we know that we can work with any athlete if you are involved in multiple things. One thing that we do ask in our practices is, with the exception of multiple sport athletes, we do have excused absences up to 3. And we do ask, we know kids are going to get sick and we get homework. And one thing that we have done in the past that Bridget and I have said, hey, those are your 3 to use. Use them however you want. And we've kind of changed our philosophy this year a little bit, in the sense that it's a long season. It goes from November till the end of May. We ask that you use those 3 when you need them because your child isn't feeling well, or it's finals time, or there's something big at school. We ask that you kind of use those then, because we don't think that there's such a long season that if you're using them for personal, we certainly know that some of those other things are going to come up. So, but if, there's something else that's going on and there's, a bunch of practices that are missed, just know you can make those up on another night, and kind of reach out to Bridget and I to allow us to kind of help you make that happen. In terms of tournaments, everyone wants to know what the tournament schedule is. Tournaments begin in January, and you are going to play on average 2 times per month, January till the end of May. Tournaments can be one of 2 styles. You can either go somewhere where it's league-based. You're going to play your 3 matches for the day. You're a morning wave, you're an afternoon wave, and you're done. The other option is you're going to play a true tournament style format. And what that means is you're going to have pool play, and then usually the top 2 or 3 teams get out. You're going to have a quarterfinal, you're going to have a semifinal, and then you're going to have a championship, and certainly we hope to be playing in the championship. So there's 2 different kinds of tournaments on your schedule. You are guaranteed 3 matches everywhere you go. So you can kind of count on that for a day. If it's a half-day tournament, you're going to be there for about 6 hours, 5 hours. If it's a full-day tournament, we are hoping that you are there longer. So when you kind of take a look at your tournament schedule, you'll kind of know the difference. That tournament schedule will be out shortly after we get through getting out the practice information, all of our athletes registered, then that tournament schedule will come out. And just so our families know, while we don't ever anticipate a change, we at this time really don't host tournaments at Club One simply for space. So we are not in control of a tournament canceling for various reasons. Should that happen, we would communicate to our families and we would look to get us in a different event. Hopefully on the same weekend, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. So we'll get those out to our families as soon as we can. And then one thing that you should know is that if you officiate before you play, which happens at club tournaments, there's an officiating rule for the kids. You need to be there about 45 minutes before you officiate. If you play, the general rule of thumb is an hour. Once your daughter's coach gets assigned, they'd communicate with you with exact times of when they want their kids to be there, but just a general rule of thumb for our families. Another thing that I can tell you guys is that no athlete's allowed to leave a tournament until all of the officiating and playing duties are complete. And I can also share with you that there is nowhere that we have gone where tournament host sites allow you to bring in outside food. So it doesn't happen. That's how they make money. So, and they do have the authority per the region rules to ask you to leave if you are eating outside food. So for our families, if you need to bring it because there's things on their concession menu that you don't want, no problem at all. Just eat outside. Eat it in your car. If it's nice out, eat it on their property outside of the facility. But we just ask that you be respectful of those host site food policies. And then if your child has a specific allergy, I will work with you as a family to communicate with that tournament host site to either get a pass or, you know, to kind of communicate and see if they have any foods that your child is allowed to eat. So if there's something specific, go ahead and shoot me an email and I'll work closely with you to help get something. The last thing I want to mention is that tournament host sites do not put out their tournament schedules oftentimes till the Wednesday before. So what I'm going to tell you is this. You're going to get your tournament schedule. It's going to show that you play this weekend on Saturday, and that is true. So you will be able to plan that you are playing this Saturday. But you may not know what time your daughter plays till the Wednesday before that weekend. And the reason that is because as the season goes on, there's lots of drops. And a team has injuries, a team has illness, a team has kids with other sports, and they drop at the last minute. And every time a team drops, they send out a revision. It becomes very confusing for people. So it's sort of a respected rule within the region. Everybody's going to communicate prior to that Wednesday, and then that Wednesday, they would send something out. If we get it sooner, we'll send it to you. But I promise you, we are not sitting on anything. As soon as that information comes across to us, we will send it to you so you can plan for your families. In regard to playing time, we take great pride in the fact that our youth program is set up with the correct amount of kids so that all of our athletes can contribute. With that said, playing time, it can't be even because we have kids that play specific positions. You might play front row, you might play back row, you might play both. We also cannot control the length of a set or a match. So we might go on a long serving run or another team might go on a long serving run. We can't control that either. So there could be a set where your child didn't get in as much as they normally do because one team scored a run of points right over the course of the set. So what I'm going to say is this. We will absolutely create opportunities for our kids at the youth level to get in. We do expect them to work hard in practice. We do expect them to listen, and we do expect them to give great effort. And we've really been fortunate that our kids have always done that. So we'll do that, but we won't promise you or can't promise you that it could ever be 100% equal. It just can't because we can't control those things that I discussed. And additionally, depending on the position you play, could increase the amount of time they're on the floor. It could make it a little bit less. And we work and have good communication with our kids so they're aware of that. If for some reason something happens and you're unhappy about it as a parent, we do have a 24-hour rule here. And what I'm going to say is this. I've been coaching a long time. And I'm a parent of 4 and Bridget's a parent of 4. And our kids are involved in athletics. And I haven't loved everything a coach has done, just as I'm sure you haven't either. But once something is spoken to a coach or once words are exchanged, you can't ever get them back. And so what we have is a 24-hour rule in place. And I don't know anybody who doesn't. So if something has really happened that's very upsetting to you, we ask that you wait 24 hours and then we can communicate, and address the situation at hand. If your child wants more playtime, if your child wants to change the position that they're playing, if your child wants to, do something different than what they're doing, we encourage you to encourage them to come talk directly with their coach first. Because that relationship is every day in practice, and that coach sees your daughter, and your daughter talks with that coach. And so we ask to start there. If after a certain amount of time we're really not seeing any resolution, then you can send an email and we'll all sit down together. In 20 years, I have never had a situation that when we sat down and talked that we haven't been able to make it right. But we just have to be given that opportunity, and we simply ask that we do it in a way that's respectful to all the parties involved. So, any issues with that. And one thing I always say is our coaches dedicate many hours to coaching these athletes as well, and they're not getting rich doing this. So they're giving their best effort. So we just ask that, we take it easy on them as well, and we find a solution so we can move forward in a positive way. We do have a parent expectation clause. I just want to touch on it. We have been very fortunate at Club One that we have not really had any of these situations, but I will tell you, doing this long enough, they are everywhere. So we simply ask that we're respectful to the club, the coaches, and the players. We ask that we demonstrate good sportsmanship to Club One players as well as other teams, coaches, and officials, that we support the development of each player, and that, that you do as a parent have a voice, but that you're just respectful to everybody that's involved. So, that's kind of in there. We feel like great pride that our families have been really great people. But we do want to just mention it because we do know that sometimes situations get heated and there's a bad official call, or a group of a group of parents on the other side aren't demonstrating good sportsmanship or being respectful, and sometimes those things are tested. So we just want to mention them so that we continue to do the good things, as we will as coaches as well. In terms of travel, our 12U program does not travel. So all of their events are what we consider local. Really no further bridge, would you say, than an hour in any one direction that we would play. We like a variety of teams, so we don't go the same place all the time and see all the same teams. But for our 12U program, it is a travel program, but no travel outside of the state. For our 13s and our 14s, they do one travel event, which Bridget will kind of touch base on. But some of the teams will definitely go to the Indianapolis qualifier. And I can tell you guys that is the weekend of March 15th through 17th, the Indianapolis qualifier. But not all of our youth teams go. We have not had team selections yet. So, and I meant to touch on this in the beginning, but once practices begin, which we said is November 14th, there's no teams yet. All of the athletes come in, we work with them for 2 to 3 weeks, and then we place them on teams. So you won't actually know what tournaments you're going to, even when we get that tournament schedule out, until team placement happens. So some of our teams go to the Indy qualifier, and some may go to the Dells or Michigan. There's a couple other places that they could go, but it's all drivable. So we'll kind of communicate that to our families. You will get a travel letter. You will get information on where you can stay. And USA Volleyball is stay to play. So if it is a USA Volleyball tournament, you have to stay at the hotel site that's provided for you. They email me, I send it to you, you log in with your credit card and your information, you get the confirmation, but you have to do it through the site so we meet the minimum criteria to be eligible to play in the event. If there isn't a requirement, we go somewhere that isn't a state of play, then we can offer suggestions. Certainly you can use what works best for your family. But that travel letter will come from us, and I always say this, and it says it in the travel letter, but just pay attention to the cancellation deadlines, maybe the parking fees. We don't have any control over it, but just pay attention so you know if you aren't sure you're going to go and you need to cancel, make sure you know when you can do that. So that information will come out, and we'll kind of firm up that travel information so it'll be on your schedule so it's real clear from the beginning of the year where you're going. Couple last things that I have. First is spirit wear. People always ask us. We will do a spirit wear store. Well, I don't think this is spirit wear, but we will do it's windbreaker. Windbreakers are coming back into style. Who knew? The girls keep us really hip and trendy.
Parachute pants. It's over.
So, anyways, we will do a spirit online store. We'll probably do 2. We'll do one right away, but we know everybody gets hit with all the fees and it's hard to get something else. And then we'll do kind of one after the first of the year. Obviously, totally optional, but if you're looking for some gear, that's where you can get it. While these guys are youth, We do have a full-time recruiting coordinator. Just good to know in the back of your mind. This past club season, we had 18 kids sign collegiately. So it's way too early for these guys to know what they want to do, but it's important for you to know that we have that in place, as your children and our athletes get older. Check our website frequently. We do put a lot of stuff on there. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. That's about as far as Bridget and I can go. Yeah, tweeting has not worked out well for us. And all of the other things that the kids tell us about, we just quite frankly can't keep up. So check our Facebook page, check our Instagram page, but we have a ton of great stuff on there. We love to post our weekend successes. We love to post, someone signed collegiately. This year, we had many academic All-Americans. We were so prideful of that and able to post it. So check us out on our Facebook page and our Instagram page. And then two more things that I have. Parking. We don't really ever host, but we can't use the parking spaces that go beyond our building down where the CrossFit is and there's a t-shirt shop down there. We can't use those spaces. So if for whatever reason everybody's coming in, or even the night of the drop-off, you can park in our parking lot. You can park on the side where the garages are. You can park on Coyle Plus Drive, which is the street that runs directly behind us. And you can also park in the Public Works building, which is across the street. We just can't go down into those other buildings because those spots are for their customers. And then the last thing that I have is the last couple of years, Bridget and I have hosted an evaluation clinic and for youth. And the reason that we've done the clinic is because the middle school seasons, or if your child isn't even old enough to play middle school yet, and there's a gap of time before the club season starts up. That's not so true with high school. I'm a varsity coach right now. We will literally finish and have approximately a week before our club season will start. The youth have this huge break. And so we kind of get inundated with people like, hey, can you run a lesson? Hey, do you have anything going on? And we just can't meet the demand at that time. One, because there's a lot of people. Number two, because a lot of our coaches are coaching high school and college and running our league and things like that. So we came up with what we called an evaluation clinic, but it was simply a way to kind of have the athletes get back in the gym, touch on their skills prior to our practices starting. It's not the club season. It's run separate. I think last year we did it for $50 or $75. There was 4 sessions. So we're going to look to do something like that again, or offer individual groups of position training where you can kind of sign up for what works. And it is additional fee. But let me tell you, if it doesn't work for you or you don't think your child needs it, don't do it. This is not another thing that you have to do. We're just saying, hey, listen, we know people want to get back in the gym. They want to do something before the club season starts. How can we accommodate a large group? Our coaches get back. So when we send that out, if it works for your family, and last year, it was several hours in sessions for not a lot of money, right? But we have to pay our coaches to come there and do different things. But if it doesn't work for you, don't do it. We're going to start the next week or 2 weeks later with our kids. If you are looking for something, then you can sign up for it, and hopefully we can accommodate the families that are asking. So I have that, and then I'm going to hand it over to Bridget. But I just have to say that last year was a super exciting year for us. And we are super excited to get started this year. And last year, we look at this as an opportunity to get to mentor and work with young athletes, both female and male. And we take great pride that we can do it in an environment that's fun, challenging, right, but positive. And we are prideful of the fact that our athletes can be involved in multiple things and be well-rounded human beings, and that we can still find success. And this year, and if you're new to us, I just want to share with you, this past club season, we had 2 teams win the JBA World Challenge, which was super exciting for us. And we had 2 teams in national championship games this past season. 2 teams that ended up national runner-up, right? We had a 15U team finish 5th at AAU Nationals. We had our boys team, a 17-club boys team, take 5th. And we had 18 All-Americans this past year, some academic, some athletic, but 18 All-Americans, and we had 18 kids signed collegiately. So it was a great year for us. We feel excited that we can teach the game of volleyball, but also be a small part in helping our athletes be awesome human beings and kind of get to do what we love. So we hope you love our program as much as we do. I'm going to hand it over to Bridget. She's going to talk money. Everybody wants to know the money part. You probably muted this whole last part that I just had, and now you're turning up the volume.
She makes me go last, too.
Yeah.
I should just go first, then you can all... No, I'm just teasing. That stuff's important.
Yeah.
Very important.
So I'm handing it over. She's going to break it down for you, and then we're going to kind of tell you what you do from here. So Bridget, it's all you.
It's all me. Okay, so fees are obviously what we need to know, and I'm going to touch on how that works. We break it down by age division, and we do have specific fees for each of the programs. So if you are in our 12U program and you are a new player, just know that the fees will include, when I give you the total pricing, it's going to include your tuition. It's going to include your jersey fee, and I'll kind of touch on that. And then if you are a 13 or 14, that travel event that Bree mentioned. I'm going to backtrack a little and talk about uniforms just so you can kind of understand when I'm saying it. But this year we are on a cycle with Nike, because we are sponsored by Nike, that our jerseys from the past are no longer being produced. So we're on a 2-year cycle, in the first year of that 2-year cycle with new jerseys. So everybody in the program needs to receive the jerseys. So what we have done, because those are custom ordered, we've just included those in the fees because we know that everybody needs them.
And we've actually already had to place the order.
We've already placed
for them
the
because
order.
they wouldn't make it to us in time because they're custom.
Exactly. So we decided to do that. Now, in addition to that, there will, if you are new to us, be additional pieces that you will have to purchase to complete your package, which you will do directly through Nike, and there's a store that they open up. So I'll go on that in a minute, but I just wanted to know that everybody in the youth program is receiving new jerseys. So the fees will include the jerseys, the tuition, and if you're a 13 or 14, the travel event. So our fees for a new player in the 12s program is $1,550. And if you're a returning player, it's $1,450. Our 13U program, both new and returning, is $2,075. And if you're a 14 new player, it's $2,200, and a returning player is $2,100. The way that our plans work, or our payments work, is you will create a Sport Engine account. And this is very, very important, because this is not only your account and getting your fees paid, but it's also your communication with us in pretty much every single thing we do. Now, when you're placed on teams, your coaches will be reaching out to you like on a team-by-team basis, but anything like travel letters or updates on the program or changes, things like that that would assume the whole program, Bree and I communicate through Sport Engine. So one suggestion I'm going to give is when you set up your Sport Engine account, the account email that you put in there is your email address that everything will go to. So my suggestion is not to have it be, bless you, your child's email address, or if your husband or wife says, oh, I'll do it, but you're the person who really wants to get it, just make sure they put the one email address that everybody that is going to get the majority of the stuff. I do get a lot of calls that say, I'm not getting the emails, and then I look up the account, and it's because it was on a different one. There is a way to connect another email to your account, but the account email, primary one, is going to get everything. So please just keep that in mind when you are setting it up. Our fees can be broken into payment plans, and the way it works is upon registration, a payment will be due. You can choose or select to pay in full or break the fees into 5 installments. And let's just say, for purposes of an example, you decide to do 5 installments. 20% of the fees would be due upon registration, and then your 4 additional fees would be due on November, December, January, and February 1st. And that breaks it up into 20%, and it would just be charged to the card that you put or checking account that you put into your account on file on those due dates. I do want to mention that if you do not pay in full, payments 2 through 5 do incur an installment fee of $35 per installment to keep that account open and to monitor and manage that account. If you pay in full, everything would be paid upon registration, and then there would be no additional fees. When you are setting up your account, you can, of course, like I said, decide to do 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So if you only did 2 payments, it will take half upon registration, and then it would take half at the November 1st date. So it breaks it up, you know, in the amount of payments that you do. So that's how the payment plans work. Sport Engine is where you set it up. You can all be done in there.
And like, just so I heard Bridget mention it, but those fees and prices she gave you include the travel. So
Yes.
there isn't like all of a sudden you're going to get hit with another bill. That's all of it in there, you know, with the exception of the additional uniform items. But
The additional
that's
items.
all of them in there just so for planning purposes.
And the additional uniform, like we said, you will order that directly through Nike. And one thing I like to mention about that is, like with the jerseys, we need to get those orders in fairly quickly because there's things that need to be embroidered, ordered. We have to make sure that they don't run out of sizes for certain things, etc., or styles. So and I'll talk about the checkout process, but when you come that next day after the tryout for the checkout process, we will have uniform samples, and we may, if we don't that day, the next day or very shortly after, have the information of where you would go to order your package. If you are returning Club One member, you do, and everything fits from last year, you do not have to purchase anything additional. Your jerseys are already included in your pricing. So you would be okay, and no additional items would be needed. If you need something, you can order it individually through that store. If you're a new player to Club One, you would have to order the pieces that are offered on the store, which is your spandex, your shoes, your knee pads, your warm-up, backpack. I think sometimes they throw socks in there. I will tell you that Nike has always done a fantastic job of offering us very, very good pricing on the items. I will tell you that we have parents come up and say, I looked at shoes and I couldn't find them for cheaper than it was. And they do a nice job of putting that package together for us so that we can offer those to you as well. So that information will be coming out very, very shortly. And the due dates, like Bree said, with, you know, like the travel and things, please make sure that you just pay attention to the deadline. We make it a note to tell you that, but once the store closes, and it's difficult to get it reopened.
Right, and it's usually a week turnaround. So yes. Just so you kind of know, we have already worked with Nike to pull some inventory, but there's only so much time that they'll hold it, right? Because they want to sell it if they can. And so then they'll come out with the store, and it's about a week turnaround that all the orders have to be in to ensure we get them on time, but also to ensure that there's stock, because other clubs are doing the same thing. So if we exceed the amount of time that they give us, we may not be able to get what we're trying to get. So just so you have a heads up, you know, you're going to get kind of hit with that uniform package right away also, but it's just because we have to get it in time.
So the next question I always get is, are there any fundraisers or any way to offset the costs? And yes, there are. We have been running for, you know, from the beginning of time when Club One started, a raffle that we do that has been very successful to our families. The way that the raffle works, when you're going through the Sport Engine sign up, you will choose to participate in the raffle. And it is mandatory unless you do choose to opt out, which I'll explain in just a second. But the way the raffle works is you as a family are responsible for 10 tickets. You sell 10 tickets at $10 a piece. The first prize is $10,000, so it is an easy sell. People really will, you know, give the $10 to maybe have a chance for the $10,000.
If we could buy tickets, we would.
Please, I'd be like, books, $10,000. But you would sell those tickets. Anything over the first 10 that you sell is 100% back to the family. So, for example, if you sold 50 tickets or 5 booklets, the first 10 goes to the raffle, towards the raffle, and then you would receive a credit for $400 towards your fees that would be reimbursed to you. And the way that we do that is you start selling tickets right away. We have the tickets right away. The raffle is drawn usually right before our Christmas break, so December. Sell all the way up to that time. We pull the raffle. Then we do have to contact the winners. We have to file some paperwork. But by the end of January, when everything is okay for us to go ahead and disperse, you know, the refunds, if you have a balance on your account, I'll usually apply it to your account. Sometimes it will wipe off a payment or however, because your last payment's February 1st. But if for whatever reason we did not get the okay to disperse funds and that last payment was made or you had paid your balance in full from the beginning, you would receive a check in the amount of $400 from us which would be your refund or credit for selling those tickets. So the money would absolutely come back to you, and you would be able to, or you would receive that in a check payment. If you choose to not participate because it's just too much, you don't want to ask people to buy them, you've already done 30 fundraisers with all your other kids this year, there is an option when you are registering to opt out of the raffle, and it's a $75 fee that would be added to your fees when you check out. You would not even be given raffle tickets if you opt out, and you do not have to participate. But in my years of doing this, I can tell you that we have had at times people almost cover their costs, half of their costs, 3/4 of their costs in selling raffle tickets. So if you know a lot of people, or if you just know people who like to be a part of, something and try to win, this is something that you may want to be, interested in doing to help offset your costs. So that's one of the ways, or the major way that we do that. We will have tickets in the office or at the, practices. So whenever your daughters come in, the only thing that we ask is if they're looking to obtain additional tickets, is that you would have to bring in the tickets and the money for the pack that you previously sold, and then we would reissue tickets so that you could continue to sell. And any of the coaches will be instructed on how to give tickets, so you could be getting them, as much or as often as you wanted, as long as you're turning in those tickets. So that kind of covers how the fees work, the registration works. The last thing is, how does this all work when it's all over? Now, your daughter's tried out, you're looking at the first step, and you're watching the video. We obviously have posted the numbers online, and if you saw your daughter's number, you're watching the video, which is step 1 with the explanation. Follow the steps in the step-by-step registration, and it's easy. Super easy, easy peasy. The second important step, which probably is even more important than this one, because now you've known that you would like to commit, is you must email your commitment to me by noon on Monday, October 1st. So the tryout took place on Sunday. We like you to have the evening to watch the video, discuss it as a family, but we do need to know by noon the commitment of your daughter to our program. And it's just as simple as, Bridget, my daughter so-and-so is committing to Club 1. You will receive a response from me. Thank you, I have it, so that there's no question. If you don't get a response from me, you can always reach out. Hey, just want to make sure. I do get lots of them, but I go through them and I get back to you just as soon as I can and right away. It's important because we do make cuts in the age divisions. And so we want to make sure that if somebody is not accepting their spot, that we can reach out to somebody who is maybe on the wait list and offer it to them. Because the turnaround time is very quick and they're on hold and waiting as well. We do a drop off, as Bree mentioned. So the next couple steps will be create your Sport Engine account, select your payment plan, your age divisions, all that kind of stuff. There'll be a couple links of paperwork. So we have some forms that will be filled out online, and we have some forms that need to actually be printed, filled out, and brought into us at the drop-off. And those are more medical forms. We do have the financial agreement that we ask for a hard copy. So anything in those steps that asks you to print and bring in, please make sure that you do that the night of. The drop-off will be on Monday, October 1st from 5:30 to 7 o'clock at Club 1. And essentially what you'll do is you'll print out those forms, you'll bring in the filled out forms, you'll come to a checkout person, we'll issue you your tickets if you are opting to be in the fundraiser and you like your tickets. We'll collect that paperwork, we can answer any questions that you have, and we will have samples of the uniform items that night. So bring your daughter if they're available. If they're available to come in, you can try them on. If we have the information from Nike, we'll be able to supply you with that. If not, it'll be emailed to you very shortly after. And then once you drop the stuff off and you hand in your paperwork, you're good to go. So if the stuff is taken care of beforehand, it really is a very, very quick process. But if at that time you have any specific questions, you could always ask me specifically when I'm there. I will have copies of some of the stuff, but if you can bring copies in, they are limited. It's always helpful, and you don't have to fill them out when you're there, so you'll save yourself some time. I think I've covered everything on my end. really watching this video was, I'm sure, hopefully informative to you, and then emailing your commitment is another thing. I'll then be going through all the paperwork and can always reach out if something's missing. There'll be information on how to obtain your memberships that you need as well. But we really look forward to just getting back into season and getting started and coaching and you know, playing again and all those fun things that go along with it. And we welcome everybody to the Club One family.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a great year. Thank you.
See you soon.